Welcome to the Power of Integrity podcast, where leadership aligns with principles. I'm Ralph Adamo, your host, and I'm delighted to have Johnlery Cruz, the Vice President at PCW Millworks and CEO at Carbon Fiber Cabinets, join us today. Johnlery is a new friend to me, a new friend to our organization, and a delightful young man who's doing a lot of fine work, both professionally and personally. Johnlery, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you today, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Can you tell our audience, so they can get familiar with you, a little bit about your professional and personal journey leading up to where you are today and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I guess, coming from a small town, I'm from Chico, really didn't grow up with much, right? I mean, you're surrounded by Farmville. So really, I wanted to kind of make a difference because my parents were, immigrants here from the Philippines. So how to make an impact was kind of like my biggest priority, and kind of like providing and helping my parents along the way. I wasn't, the most fortunate kid growing up. So that's kind of what drove me into what I'm doing today, and kind of drove me to take on challenges in college and throughout my early ages of my career that, I needed to challenge myself where it's not coming easy to me. So I majored in mechanical engineering, ended up working in the Bay Area for about 8-9 years right out of college, no break, nothing in between. And kind of started at a company, Acco Engineered Systems. So I wasn't even in the millwork business until recently, which was 4 or 5 years ago. And really the mechanical business kind of took my career to a different level, I would say. The drive, the push, the difficultness of actually building things from scratch, having to deal with, individuals of the city, ownership and all that stuff really like taught business to something you can never learn in college. You're talking about stories of, having to deal with billions of dollars from people that, that they don't want to waste, and they want to see really what the value is that they're building to make an impact on everyone's lives. So with that being said, 4 or 5 years ago, my wife wanted to move closer to family, which brought me into the millwork industry. And in that state, my father-in-law said, "Hey, let's make it work." And we made it work, and now I'm at PCW. But over time at PCW, it's a different aspect because it is stuff you actually physically see in the construction world, rather than compared to something being hidden behind a wall or in concrete and stuff like that. But it's cool to see things go up, and then turning into carbon fiber cabinets. That was a random, I guess, success story that just randomly happened. We did a project with PCW for, an NDA clientele, and we ended up doing millwork and real carbon fiber, and he ended up liking it. Not only himself, but some others, in the building had pretty much said, "I've never seen anything like this before. You should probably try and start a business." And little do you know, 2 years ago, it was something that came to fruition. So it's been a little struggle, I mean, it's, everyone knows with the startup world of how that works, right? Trying to find clientele, trying to get things off the ground. But in a sense, it really teaches you, everything you need to know, not only personally, but in business as well. So it's been a good journey, but I guess working has definitely taken over a lot.
Yeah. And Johnlery, who are your consuming clients for Millworks as well as for carbon fiber cabinets?
Yeah, so for PCW Millworks, it's mostly on the commercial side of things, but we also do high-end residential stuff as well. But commercials would be, your general contractors and your architects, and we'll get a few calls here and there regarding ownership direct, just from word of mouth or from an architect recommendation, just to do business that way. And then carbon fiber cabinets has been really trying to get architects to, kind of know the value of why you want to go with this, right? It's more durable. It's not just plastic laminate. There is an intriguing look to it, just because it looks different than anything else. They use cars to build this stuff. So not only that, I guess it's mostly word of mouth for carbon fiber, just because everyone doesn't really know about it yet, but it's out there. you know.
Yes. I'm a little bit intrigued. When we had lunch and talked a little about carbon fiber and its application, maybe share just a little bit. Normally, I don't get into a deep dive there because the topic here is about integrity, but maybe our audience would benefit by understanding a little bit more about carbon fiber if you indulge us.
So the carbon fiber we use is, it's true carbon fiber. It's not like your, stuff that you would get where it looks like a 3M wrap and you would heat it and whatnot. This is actually like, a composite that is applied with a protective coating and everything on top of it. The durability aspect compared to like a plastic laminate, which is a thin 16th inch piece of material, it's stronger, it's lighter, and it does have a better finish. There's a gloss, there's a matte, there's any finish that you can think of. But in terms of like if you were to go and scratch this thing, you could actually buff it out. Really, it's more to provide a stronger surface for anything that you could bump it into. Yes, it will crack under extreme amount of force, but in terms of that happening in a building or a home is very unlikely. And in turn, really the aesthetically pleasing look is out of this world, to be honest with you.
So aesthetics and practical durability.
Yeah.
Wow. And how does it measure? Is it cost effective relative to the other options, the laminates that you referred to?
It is on the higher side of things, but in terms of like, your lasting ending product, it will definitely be way longer than a regular plastic laminate piece of architectural piece. So you could probably say, average architectural piece will last probably like 5 to 10 years. This thing will definitely outlast your 10-year mark.
So cost to own could actually be cheaper.
Correct.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, pivoting a little bit back to our topic of integrity and the purpose of this podcast, Johnlery, when you think of that word, what does integrity mean to you?
Integrity to me, I mean, it means everything, right? I mean, not only on a personal but business level. I mean, integrity also kind of portrays into accountability, right? Integrity for me is definitely one of the things I live by and what I preach to everyone here in the office for, because that holds your presence really. If you don't have integrity, applying it to any aspect or situation that you're running into, I mean, you pretty much have nothing, right? I mean, if someone can't trust you, someone can't, think that you're being honest with them, and you having that backbone, I mean, there's nothing really to your conversation, because as soon as you open your mouth, I mean, you're kind of done for. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're not doing what we say we're going to do and finishing what we start without accountability, that it can be real problematic. It means it's detrimental to personal or professional relationships for sure. Is there an example that you can give our audience about where the principle of integrity played a key role in your professional journey?
Yeah. It was actually just recently. I'll give you actually a big opportunity that presented itself to us. So we have a clientele that's on the larger side that we were trying to get into. It's been I would say 2.5 years of us trying to constantly kind of make our way and make our presence. The integrity side definitely had a big key role. There's a big project that we were presented. We decided to go pretty much open book to them and gave them everything from a cost perspective to a logistics perspective of what we were going to do to accomplish the project. And they took that integrity to their higher ups, and they pretty much said, okay, this is what we're looking for. This is always what we've been looking for. It's kind of hard to find in the construction industry, right? Because everyone doesn't know your key elements or your, I guess, unforeseen conditions is what you would describe it, being present in anything you build these days. So with that being said, really for us to be open and honest with them and show them every line item of where their money is going and how much of an impact it was going to make really made a difference. And because not only that, with that being open book, we could kind of, I guess, save them money in a sense and really achieve their goal without having to go through that huge cost impact of what they originally anticipated.
And what you mean by open book was a transparency for them to see right through on how you came to your total budget and all the components of that. Is that an accurate impression?
Yeah, that's correct. So pretty much it's from your labor, your material, every adhesive, every delivery charge, all your labor charges, any other miscellaneous stuff that would ever come to thought would be presented.
Yeah, interesting. I often ask our guests about the impact integrity has on customer or consumer and client loyalty. Maybe you can share a little bit more because this had to develop that sort of loyalty with that level of transparency, and maybe extend it to another example that went on where you have developed client loyalty through having deep levels of integrity.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so that, I mean, with that being said, I mean, it leads to, I guess, where it all stemmed down to. So at my previous company, my old boss, Kevin Fitzgerald, I'll never forget the guy. He had the, I guess, belief that a war room presence of how to teach us all was the way to go, which now I'm starting to see 10 years down the road that was a huge transformation in the development. So with that being said, he had 6 or 7 guys working under him, myself included, and we all sat in a conference room. And for 3 years, we worked together on everything. And that was bouncing ideas off of each other. That was working on projects together. That was, going off of each one's experience because not everyone was working on the same project all at once. So really, in turn, it developed your aspect of thinking business wise from not just your way was correct, even though it was correct. Other I guess angles to present itself actually benefited you in the long run. So going back to the open book thing and being full transparent, yeah, this has led to us, I guess, gaining more trust, more value. We definitely build more adaptability because you can actually select different products with the same, I guess, overall end goal without its cost, I guess, being your final product. And then factor the construction world. I mean, you're thinking millions of different products that you could use at the end of the day. Not only has that benefited us for larger clientele with more opportunities, but also developed and evolved our business to actually in turn get more difficult projects, more high quality products, more just opportunities in a sense of not being comfortable with what your bread and butter is always, right? Because I always believe if it doesn't scare you in the decisions you make, then you're probably too comfortable in what you're doing, right? But in turn, I mean, I preach that to everyone around the office. It's like the more you can develop trust, the more you can develop accountability and integrity with your client, the more they are open to really sharing everything and anything with you.
Yes. Yeah. It becomes a two-way communication and a collaboration and a partnership leading you both into the future, not a adversarial seller-buyer relationship.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, being more personable is definitely the way to go, especially in this industry, because, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of previous past experiences of friends and family, right? They'll hire somebody and they'll say, oh, yeah, we think it's going to be this much. And in turn, it's 3 times less, right? And they just want to get it because they want the job, they want the business. But the more you actually aren't trying to make money every single day on every single project and you really connect on a service level with somebody, goes tenfold to what the original, I guess, 30-40 year ago like construction theory would provide, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Having repeatable clients is a lot better than going trying to find new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So John, you kind of touched on it a little bit when you preached. You said, I think you talk to your team about this and make sure they understand it. But how do you think integrity plays a role in terms of productivity with your own team internally?
It does. It's a lot, right? I mean, as I said before, that turns into accountability too, because when you say something, you got to do it. Right. And I have your book here too. And it kind of took me because you did quote something of that nature, right? It's like, to give real service, you must add something that cannot be bought or measured with money. And that is sincerity and integrity, right? By Douglas Adams. For me, that hit home because I tell these guys all the time, it's like, you don't want to be just another competitor in the business. You don't want to be another, provider or a subcontractor. You want somebody to remember you as like, oh, hey, I loved working with that person because they know where I live. They know if I have friends or family, they remember my birthday, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't become like, hey, I'm doing business with you ever again. It becomes to a relationship of, hey, yeah, that's a buddy of mine. Like, he provided me well. Like, okay, let's help him out if I have to, right? It doesn't become like a task anymore, I would say. It becomes like a help, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you decommoditize yourself, customize and personalize that relationship, which runs far deeper and it becomes transformative for both parties, for sure. Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely. When you think about uh, the younger folks, because you're one of those younger folks, not young, you've got plenty of
Yeah.
season behind you, but you're not the average age of our normal guests, which are your senior by a decade or so. So you probably have more to share. When we have a group of young listeners, and what things, because it's more fresh in your mind, and you grew up in a different environment than I grew up in. What would you share with our younger group audience in terms of tips and insights that were accelerants, things to avoid, and things to emphasize as they're starting out in their careers, whether they're startups, whether they're in the for-profit, nonprofit world, wherever they're going and whatever they're trying to accomplish? What were some of the key factors for you?
Yeah. I mean, really just sticking to your plan, really. And I guess in terms of that, right, the six things I do make sure that everyone knows that, work here, these are the key points that I make sure that they follow every day, right? Trust, integrity, honesty, innovation, accountability, and adaptability. With trust, it's just, what I've been saying before, right? You want somebody to trust you rather than them having a business relationship with you. The integrity portion, obviously accounts with accountability, just making sure that what you're servicing or what you're providing really, hits home, hits heart, right? That you actually provide that value there. The honesty is, yeah, your reputation is everything, and you can't not go against your reputation. If you believe in something, don't second guess yourself. Have that trust and that drive to make sure that it does get to the finish line. And then the innovation and adaptability portion is, every single day this world changes, right? You're not going to be doing the same thing that the world has been doing 5 years ago. So in order for that to happen, you have to grow with not only the industries, your personal life, your business life, anything new that's being invented, you have to try and at least make the effort to incorporate it into your business, because you never know, that stuff might help you. But really, yeah, I mean, let integrity reflect the nature of your business, right? Let it reflect your presence. Let it reflect, how you present yourself to everyone else, because that in turn will do you great things than, having a hit or miss every once in a while. Always be successful. Always have that drive to make sure that you provide what the end goal or the end client needs in order for their happiness. And I know that sucks, for most people to believe that, because, everyone's working to make money, but you can't make money on everything, right? I mean, you got to take risks. You got to take the loss. You got to take, really a learning lesson from every mistake that you make. And that's, I think, my biggest take back from it all. Having starting carbon fiber, there's been some high highs and some really low lows, in terms of that, right? I mean, money issues, right? Do I even get to pay these guys, right? Am I going to make payroll? Like, what do they think at the end of the day? But in turn, life always find its way full circle, and you will always come up on top as long as you guide yourself in that right direction, right? But everyone in the world is credible for what they do. It's just a matter of how you present it to everyone, right? And in turn, if you can believe in those 6 key facts that I believe in, I mean, I don't think anyone would have any failure at that point, right?
Yeah. And would you recite those 6 key factors that you preach each day?
Yeah. So trust, integrity, honesty, innovation, accountability, and adaptability.
Yeah.
Um, and really, like, if you think about it as a whole, as a business owner, if you are presented with an idea or a thought, but you wait 6 months, the longer you wait, that timeline is actually how much you're setting yourself behind, right? And that's kind of how I believe in everything. It's like, if I need to upgrade my shop or machines, if I don't do it now and I do it 6 months down the road, behind my competitors, I'm already 6 months behind.
Yeah. 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 Innovation is critical. And of course, trust comes from repeated actions that are consistent where people can rely on the counterparty to do what they say they're going to do. And that's really a key component for sure of integrity. One of the questions I often like to ask is on the opposite side of integrity, somewhere along your professional and personal journey, the counterparty, the other party you were working with or dealing with or relating to, lacked integrity. Do you have an example without breaching any confidences of something that went awry because someone was lacking integrity and how they were working with you or relating to you?
Yeah, I could, I mean, everyone doesn't like to fault their faults, but I have one in my early career, right? And I had a customer of mine, right? And they became pretty personable in a sense, and we started doing business together. But in turn, there was some change orders that hit the project, and they wanted to change some stuff here and there. I knew from my early stages in my career that, okay, this guy never questioned me, right? I didn't think that it was going to negatively affect me in a sense. So what I did is, being a young guy, right? I was like, okay, I'm here to make money. Let's charge him a little extra, right? So in turn, I did that. Yes, he approved it, but 2, 3, 4 years down the line, that actually was in a negative effect on me because he actually found out about it, right? So that's kind of the turning point for me with integrity of why I preach it all the time of how it could affect you in the long run, not only just in the present moment, right? So now I don't even do business with that guy anymore. Yeah, he still calls me on a personable level, but in turn for the business, I lost that business side of things, right? Even though we're still close, which sucks, but I mean, it definitely teaches you that, you can't deviate from treating someone like, they're the same person, right? Like they are the same people that we walk on this earth with, right? And for you to defile them in a sense is not the correct way to go, even though you're going to make money to survive and to keep your business thriving. But in turn, it's not good.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated.
Correct.
And as Richard Sandler, professional sales trainer, said, when you lose, don't lose the lesson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And that's definitely my head getting too big, right? It's like, oh yeah, we know we can make money, we're doing good, successful, but success isn't everything, right? I mean, you want to have an equal balance with everything.
Yeah, and success is not, you don't arrive at it, you continue to strive at it, is my impression of
Correct.
success. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we're turning the corner and coming towards the close of the show, we've had a wonderful conversation with Johnlery Cruz, VP of PCW Millworks, as well as CEO of Carbon Fiber Cabinets. Johnlery, if folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so for PCW, you guys can get in touch with us via website, via email. My email is johnlarry at PCW Millworks, or our business phone number is 714-966-6612. And then for carbon fiber cabinets, social media, it is just carbon fiber cabinets on Instagram and LinkedIn. And then we also have a website as well. And then you can send any inquiries to info@carbonfibercabinets.com or Johnlery, Johnlery at carbonfibercabinets.com.
Wonderful. Johnlery, thank you so much for being on the Power of Integrity podcast, where leadership aligns with principles. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And all the best to you and all the best to PCW and Carbon Fiber Cabinets. You're doing a great job there, young man.
All righty. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
The information presented in this program is provided for informational purposes only. The information is believed to be reliable, but no guarantee of accuracy is made or implied. Expressions of opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult a legal or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. This information does not constitute a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any security. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of capital. Ralph Adamo is registered with the securities and are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, 6451 North Federal Highway, Suite 1201, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33308. Telephone number 954-782-4771. Investment advisory services are offered through Kovac Advisors, Inc. Integrity Wealth Management is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc.